What's up, everybody? Hope y'all are doing good. So today's video is actually one that I've had a lot of I wouldn't really say requests, but a lot of comments and a lot of questions about my accent and where I'm from, and that they just find it interesting. So I decided to do a video on just like a lot of the common words and phrases that we use where I'm originally from, and that's where I live right now. But I was born and raised in the Blue Ridge Mountains of South Carolina, up in the very western part. My family's they've been in the South for generation after generation, so I'm very much truly Southern born and bred. And so I know a lot about the culture. Where I live at is called Appalachia. It's a little different than the rest of the South. It's almost kind of like we are Southern. We share some of the same things that people like down in Alabama do, but at the same time, we also have our big differences because the people that live in the mountains now, I mean, people don't really move in, people don't really move out, so a lot of the language and just a lot of the culture has been preserved for so long. So I kind of just went through and I picked out some words that I don't think many people are going to be familiar with, but this is how we talk, and this is common words that we use. And you guys probably think they sound crazy, but they're different than probably anything you've ever heard. But so the first word, and this one is probably one that really gets people the most, is "kjarn." And basically what that means is, like, you say something smells like kjarn, but basically something stinks, something smells awful. I think it actually means cat shit. I think that's what my papa said, but I don't really remember. I just know it's like something that stinks really bad, like maybe like roadkill or something. And then, speaking of roadkill, like if you're driving down the road and we smell a skunk, people are like, oh, I smell a skunk. We call it a polecat. I mean, we do say skunk, and we know what you're talking about, but we always just say polecat. I thought that's what they were called up until I was probably like in elementary school. I found out it was a skunk, because when I lived out in Missouri, y'all, the people out there, they spoke totally different than I did. I mean, that's the Midwest. I'm from the deep South, and so I never met anybody out there that sounded anything like me. I stuck out like a sore thumb. And then another word, and this is probably like the most common disputed word, is pecan. So here we say pecan. Every once in a while, you'll hear somebody say pecan, but for the majority of, even my dad's side is from South Georgia, and they make fun of us from the way we talk, and we're all part of the South. They think we sound so different than them, and we do, because some of the words they say are the same. Like, we all say pecan, but I know a lot of people argue that it's pecan or pecan, but if you're around here, you're gonna hear pecan. Pecan pie is probably one of the biggest desserts and probably one of the most famous. And then another word is piddle. And basically, like, you say quit piddling around, it means you're kind of just like being a slowpoke. You're kind of goofing off. You're not focusing. You're not getting anything done. And it basically means just unfocused. Like, you get with it, quit piddling around. And that was one word that I remember I used so much when I was a kid. And I just heard so much because mama and daddy, we also say daddy, we don't say daddy, so that's another word. But mama and daddy used to always tell me, they were like, Dylan, quit piddling around, quit poking around. Poking means the same thing. It means just being slow, being unfocused, because I was such an unfocused little kid. I was all over the place. I had a lot of life in me, a lot of energy, and so that was one word that I knew from a very early age of what it meant. And then, okay, so another word is, some of y'all might say this, I don't know, but I just know when I lived out in Missouri, in St. Louis, people, they used to always make comments about me saying this. So, like, the sound computer, the buttons. Like, out there, they would be like, oh, press the button, touch the button. But here, we say mash the button, and everything is mashed. We don't really say press. We don't really say touch the button. I don't know if anybody says that, but yeah, we don't say press. I mean, if somebody tells you to do that, we're gonna know what they're talking about, but that's just not something we like generally say around here at all. And then as far as like landscape goes, you got mountains, you got valleys. We call a small creek a branch. We know what a creek is, but we always just say branch. Like, my grandparents, they lived on a farm, and they used to go get water. We used to call it branch water, and a lot of people would call it a creek or a spring. I know is a common word, but where they lived at, they also lived down in a little valley, and we call a valley a holler. I mean, I think the original word for it is hollow, but we just say holler. And holler also does mean to yell. Like, we always say, quit hollering at me and all that. So it also means yell, but generally if somebody says, you go down the road, you pass that holler on the right, that means the valley over there. And down in the hollers normally are branches, which are the creeks. So if you're not from here, you might get like a little confused of what we're talking about. Hell, I even get confused sometimes. And then another word that people thought was really weird was what we call a ghost. So we have two words for a ghost. One is a booger. As a kid, I just always known them called a booger, but then the other term we use is haint. I think it's just the way of saying haunt, but it's haint. So we have booger and haint. And I remember when I was a kid, we would watch scary movies and stuff in the living room, and I just remember Mom and Daddy always calling them haints, calling them boogers when they'd scare me at night. I used to, I always thought I heard stuff in my room at night, and I'd go tell Mama, it's like, Mama, there's a haint in my room, or Mama, there's a booger standing over there in the corner looking at me. I know that sounds funny, but when I was a kid, I didn't mean anything other by it than a ghost. So we definitely have our own weird words around here, y'all. So if y'all think it's weird and you say that in the comments, I know I moved away from here for a while, and I realized just how different it is here and how different I grew up. And then another word we use is, so around here we have panthers and we have mountain lions, but we call them painters. We don't really call them panthers. I mean, we know what that is, but we always just say painter. And the legend about them is they sound like a woman when they scream. I mean, the Black Panthers are it's a big legend around here. Like, so you go outside, and the thing is, I've heard it myself. I know it probably sounds like a bunch of hocus pocus, but I've heard it myself, and it's pretty chilling. But if you go outside and you hear a woman scream, Mama used to always say, that's a painter out there, and, it's going to come get you if you don't get in the house. Because they used to scare us so bad as kids, talking about, all these panthers and all these ghosts and all these bears. We have so many bears right here, y'all. We're actually having a problem with a bear now outside trying to get into the trash can. We got him on camera multiple times. He's been spotted down the road a few times because our other neighbor has a camera outside. And like a couple weeks ago, on the highway right next to where I live, there is a curve in the road, and we went down it, and there was a baby bear that was hit by a car. I mean, it was still big. I mean, baby bears they're pretty stout, but we have a lot of problem with the bears, and around here we just have black bears. I think up in the Smokies they have grizzlies, and I think they do have the panthers too. But anyways, that's just some words, y'all, that I just wanted to throw out a few there. There's so many more. I mean, you just really just have to visit here, I guess, and know people from here. But I just wanted to make this short video this week just to throw something in because I got more content coming. So just stick around, guys, and I'll have something next week. And I really hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week. Bye.